Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I just was wanting to share a little bit about this situation that's going on in the news right now with Chapel of the Chimes. I have a lot of family there. I have a lot of my family buried there. Some of them were on the ground in tombs, but my grandmother and my uncle, they were in crypt 666. Go figure, because they say that's an unlucky number. Some call it the devil's number. It's not. Some people will also tell you it's, what makes up our body, But that too, to me, is kind of a form of self-worship. So I don't pay attention to that. So when I look at the situation where people are upset because our family's gravestones and grave sites were vandalized or overrun or desecrated in some shape, form, or whatnot, they did give warning. They did notify the public. Could they have done it better? Yes. But you know what? The way I look at it, honestly, my family isn't there anymore. What's left behind in that tomb are just bones. The soul is no longer there. See, we're told not to worship the flesh, not to have idols. I carry the people I love in my soul. We come from the same place. That's why we're whole, right? So no matter if the outside location is chaotic and a mess, even if they bulldozed over all the flowers and took out people's memories that they had put there on the surface, doesn't change the internal memories, the internal you. They might be able to bulldoze on the outside, but they can't bulldoze your soul. So I do find it very sad and disappointing that this has happened. But at the same time, I realize that you can't sully the soul when it's already gone, because it is whole. What you see on the outside being cleaned up is just a mess. So why take the time to be bothered and stressed? See, crypt 666 happened to be blessed because it was actually high up and not on the ground like the rest. People have things confused and backwards, and they're far removed because they'd rather live in an insanity world and be abused. Not me. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. It's always going to be, get behind me, Satan, because I operate from above and not below, right? Just like you guys, you already know.
Bay Area families whose loved ones are buried at Chapel of the Chimes Cemetery in Hayward are outraged after Bay Area families whose loved ones are buried at Chapel of the Chimes Cemetery in Hayward are outraged after they say the cemetery cleared flowers and other belongings from hundreds of grave sites without sufficient notice. ABC 7 News reporter Melanie Woodrow has the story. Piles of flowers and other mementos thrown on the dirt. Families sent us these videos after they learned Chapel of the Chimes Cemetery in Hayward had done a cleanup of grave sites.
I was just hurt and disgusted.
Victoria Davis's sister passed away in December.
This is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with.
Davis's family lives in the Bay Area while she lives in Chicago. She says the cemetery never directly notified them.
It's 2021. There's more than enough ways to notify people of important changes like that.
The cemetery's general manager tells ABC 7 News Chapel of the Chimes strives to maintain the aesthetics and dignity of the park for the benefit of families and guests. In an emailed statement writing in part, quote, "Our cleanup followed many communications throughout the summer." The general manager did not say what those communications were or how they were made. Davis says she has since learned there were flyers put up around the cemetery.
If notices were distributed in an effective manner, then there wouldn't be hundreds of people mad right now with the fact that their loved ones' grave sites were just desecrated.
Fernando Ibarra says his family wasn't notified either.
I thought I was angry, but really I was just hurt. I was really upset. I don't understand the pain that they caused.
Ibarra's mother lost her battle with cancer in 2019. This is what her gravesite looked like before the cleanup, and this is what it looked like after.
I would have never left these things if I knew that somebody was going to be touching these things and throwing away like it's trash.
The cemetery's general manager also says, "We sincerely regret that our efforts upset any family." Melanie Woodrow, ABC 7 News.
Hayward, California, Chapel of the Chimes. Chapel of the Chimes Memorial Park and Funeral Home is a 61-acre cemetery, mausoleum, crematorium, columbarium, and a funeral home complex in Hayward, California. The site was first established as a 7-acre cemetery in 1872. One of the memorial park's 3 mausoleums is circular in design, the only such one in California. The park hosts one of the larger Memorial Day services at the San Francisco Bay Area, A replica of the Angel of Grief statue is located there. The former Masonic Cemetery and DECATO Cemetery are now encompassed within its bounds. The park's owners, NorthStar Memorial Group, also operate the Chapel of the Chimes columbarium in Oakland, California, where my family and all that's from. Let's read that last part over. The replica of the Angel of Grief statue is located there. The former Masonic Cemetery and DECATO Cemetery are now encompassed within its bounds. The park's owners, NorthStar Memorial Group, also operate the Chapel of the Chimes columbarium in Oakland, California, Skylawn Memorial Park in San Mateo, and Sunset Lawn Chapel of the Chimes in Sacramento. So let's read about the Angel of Grief. Angel of Grief, or the Weeping Angel, is an 1894 sculpture by William Wetmore Story for the grave of his wife Emmeline Story at the Protestant cemetery in Rome. Its full title, bestowed by the creator, was The Angel of Grief Weeping Over the Dismantled Altar of Life. This was Story's last major work prior to his death, a year after his wife. The statue's creation was documented in the 1896 issue of Cosmopolitan magazine. According to this account, his wife's death so devastated Story that he lost interest in sculpture, but was inspired to create the monument by his children, who recommended it as a means of memorializing the woman. Unlike the typical angelic grave art, this dramatic life-size winged figure speaks more of the pain of those left behind by appearing collapsed, weeping, and draped over the tomb. The term is now used to describe multiple gravestones throughout the world erected in the style of the stone story. I'm the reverse, so it makes sense I said it wrong. The story stone, pardon me. A feature in The Guardian called the design one of the most copied images in the world. Story himself wrote that it represents the Angel of Grief my daughter just messaged. Hold on. Story himself wrote that it represents the Angel of Grief in utter abandonment, throwing herself with drooping wings and hidden face over a funeral altar. It represents what I feel. It represents prostration. Yet to do it helps me. Prominent replicas of the Angel of Grief sculpture included the Henry Lathrop Monument, located in the Stanford Arboretum. The Stanford Arboretum. Prominent replicas of the Angel of Grief sculpture, including the Henry Lathrop Monument, located in the Stanford Arboretum at, Stanford University. Lathrop was the brother of Jane Stanford, the co-founder of the university. The original replica was built in 1901, but was severely damaged in the San Francisco earthquake in 1906, leading to its replacement in 1908. After years of neglect, After years of neglect, the 1908 replacement was fully restored in 2001. Another example is the Cassard Angel, erected around 1908 in the Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. The image has also been used in popular culture, such as in the album cover for the Tea Parties, the Edges of Twilight, and the Night Wishes Once. And in the 2000 film, the image has also been used in popular culture, such as in the album covers for the Tea Parties, The Edge of Twilight in 1995, and Night Wish Once in 2004, and in the 2012 film, The Woman in Black. The Woman in Black is a 1983 Gothical horror novel written by Susan Hill. The plot concerns a mysterious specter that haunts a small English town. A television film based on the story, also called The Woman in Black, was produced in 1989, with a screenplay by Nigel Neal. In 2012, a eponymous film adaptation was released starring Danielle Radcliffe. Here's another one behind it, called Once. Once is the 5th studio album by Finnish symphonic metal band Nightwish. It was released on June 7, 2004 by Spinefarm Records in Finland and Nuclear Blast in the rest of Europe. It is the 5th and last album to feature Taraj Trunin on lead vocals. Interesting. So we got a Nuclear Blast here for a name, and we got some symphonic stuff happening. Okay. Also couldn't help but notice June 25th, the Siren. June 25th happens to be my birthday. Interesting, isn't it? So let's look at the last but not least, but it was actually the first. But you know, they always say the first shall be last and so forth. So why not read it backwards, right? So we have The Edge of Twilight. It's the 3rd album by the Tea Party. The album features many instruments from around the world, giving various songs a strong world music flavor, in addition to the rock blues influence, evident in the band's earlier releases. Jeff Burrows explained that basically we want to expand upon the initial idea that we tried on Splendor Solace, which was trying to incorporate different styles of world music into our music. So with this album, we became more familiar with many more instruments. In our minds, we were trying to do for rock what Peter Gabriel did for pop by infusing various cultures, percussion, and exotic sounds to it. The Edge of Twilight helped propel the band into mainstream success in their native Canada. Let's look at one of our sister locations, Chapel of the Chimes, Oakland, California. That was where my family was from. Chapel of the Chimes was founded in 1909 as a crematorium and columbarium in Oakland, California. The present building dates largely from the 1928 development based on the design of the architect Juliet Morgan. The Moorish and Gothic-inspired interior is a maze of small rooms featuring ornate stonework, statues, gardens, fountains, and mosaics. The name chapel refers primarily to the style of interior design, as it is not a traditional cemetery chapel building. The building maintains its original functions and also serves as the venue for annual music festivals on the winter and summer solstice. The chapel's owners operate funeral homes and cemeteries not designed by Morgan in Hayward, also under the name Chapel of the Chimes, as well as San Sunset Lawn Chapel of the Chimes in Sacramento. Chapel of the Chimes holds the records of the Chapel of Memories. Let me try that again. Chapel of the Chimes holds the records of the Chapel of Memories on Pleasant Valley Avenue.